Hi, welcome to the Carnivore Stories podcast with me, Alyssa Grubner. The carnivore way of eating completely transformed my life, and it's stories just like the ones you'll hear on this podcast that kept me going every step of the way. I hope you're ready to hear an inspirational carnivore story. I know I am, but first, let me tell you about the Meat-tastic t-shirts I have for sale on my spring store. It's a great opportunity for you to become a walking billboard if that's what you're into. And it's a great opportunity for you to support your new favorite podcast. You can find a link to the spring store in my bio on Instagram at Meat, M-E-A-T, Mrs. M-R-S, Grubs, G-R-U-B-S. I'll also put a link to the store in this video's description on YouTube. So check it out and get some carnivore swag. Welcome to episode 21 of the Carnivore Stories podcast. Today I have with me Eric Young from Canton, Ohio. He is a 50-year-old veteran, husband, father, and grandfather. And you can find him on Instagram at No Carb Nation, where he is inspiring and motivating others to live a zero carb life. Thank you so much for joining me today, Eric.
Well, thank you for having me, Alyssa. This is my first podcast experience. I'm really excited to be here, and I've watched some of your videos on YouTube and interviews, and like I said, I couldn't be more excited to be here today.
All right. I'm excited too. This is always the highlight of my day. All right. So I like to jump right in, and can you tell me about your life, your lifestyle, your diet before coming to the way you eat now?
I sure can. So going way back to high school, I played or got introduced to weights in about 12 years old. Played football through shot and disc throughout high school. Typical high schooler, ate like garbage. Back then, I thought I was eating great, right? I was told a healthy breakfast was cereal, grapefruit, orange juice, toast, all those things. But obviously didn't eat real well, plus did the typical teenager things, right? Consumed some things I shouldn't consume. After graduation, went to the military. Was in the best shape of my life, but still my diet was awful. Got out after 4 years, got married, started a family. And, all through my 20s, even though I was eating like most Americans do, it's not very good, it didn't affect me because you're at that age, just seems like things are in your favor. However, when I hit 30, right around that time frame, things started not staying so well for me due to my lifestyle choices. So again, I've always been avid with the weights, but my diet was just horrible. Stress levels were high, sleep patterns were bad. So about 30, started getting a lot of the gut issues, right? The acid reflux, diagnosed with GERD, ended up actually getting diagnosed with Barrett's esophagus from all the acid damage. And that's a precursor to throat cancer. So that was kind of scary. A little more into my 30s, developed type 2 diabetes. And the doctor at the time, his answer was, medication. As my A1C numbers got worse, he put me on more medication. I obviously wasn't very smart about it. I thought that's how we went about it. A little further into the 30s, developed sleep apnea. So my diet was horrible. I was severely overweight, high stress job. Again, the gut issues, the type 2 diabetes, the sleep apnea. Turned 40, I got hit with the high blood pressure pretty bad. Mid 40s, started the health issues started accumulating. The peripheral neuropathy, the brain fog, shortness of breath, just issue after issue. It got to the point in my mid 40s where it felt like my body was fighting against me. And it was enough to finally scare me in the realization that there's a better way out there.
Yeah. Okay. So you Because I have a similar story, except for mine happened like 20 years before yours. So high blood pressure, I had neuropathy in my feet. It was really bad, really scary. And I know what that's like, okay, whatever I gotta do, I'm gonna do it. So how did you find out about going low carb, no carb?
Well, it's funny you asked. So when I was going through those laundry list of health issues in my mid 40s, there were some scary things there. So my first experience with neuropathy was I had the freezing cold feeling below my knees all the way to my toes, and couldn't
Hmm.
shake it for a couple of days. Went to the ER along with again all the other symptoms, brain fog, the shortness of breath. I got to a point also where I couldn't work out anymore. I really had trouble doing much of anything. And so they ran all these tests. I went to a neurologist. They thought it could be MS, and that's very scary. I think, thankfully, it wasn't. But so they couldn't answer a lot of these health symptoms, even through all the tests, the prokes, the proddings, the scans. And I was getting really desperate. So I was up one night, about 2 in the morning. I'm upset beyond imagination there, and I'm praying for help. I'm begging and pleading, for some type of sign to help me answer why I'm feeling this way, why my body feels like it's rejecting me.
Hmm.
I'm, of course, Google, right? I'm Googling all the different symptoms, and I
Yeah.
just happened to stumble across an article of a person that had a lot of the similar health experiences I was having and wasn't getting the answers he was needing. And he went to I hadn't even heard of keto at this time, but I went to a keto type diet, cutting the carbs real low and started reversing a lot of these health issues and piqued my interest. I dug a little deeper. It was probably 5:30 in the morning. I had found all these different stories of people going to a low carb lifestyle. I was desperate. Again, I felt like at that point, I wasn't going to make it to see 50. I wasn't going to make it to see some of my
Hmm.
kids graduate school. I was going to miss those things. I was that desperate, feeling that low health wise. So the next morning, I started a low carb diet. Now I started, at that time, again, we're going back to December of 2017. I started with 30 carbs or under. Um, Started feeling pretty good, not immediately, but over the next couple months, the weight started dropping pretty fast. The checkups, the doctor, my A1C was lowering pretty fast. And, neuropathy was getting better. Brain fog was clear. So I started seeing a pretty significant, increase in health within a few months. And as I continued to research and follow other people in the low carb community, I stumbled across carnivore and animal based. And it wasn't long.
Hmm.
I jumped to that lifestyle, 0 to 10 carbs a day max, close to zero most day. And I've been, carnivore, animal based, whatever you want to call it, ever since. And, even though I saw those impacts with the keto and low carb, switching to the carnivore animal based really, really saw those betterments in health. Again, the weight was just shedding off. And I didn't start this for the weight.
Hmm.
I've always been big. I just started for health, but it correlates, right? The excess weight correlates to
Yeah.
the worst health and things like that. So, um, honestly, I got off the type 2 diabetes medications, my A1Cs in the low to mid fives, was at 10.1 at my highest. So it was
Mm.
cut that about half. Triglycerides used to be like in the 270s. That's down to like 80.
Hmm.
So all these impacts from eating an animal-based carnivore diet. Everyone's telling me
Yeah.
too, oh, you can't eat all that red meat, you can't eat all that bacon, you can't eat all those eggs, it's going to kill you. It's just the opposite. And it's
Hmm.
been life-changing, and I dare say life-saving for me. It's
Yeah.
it's been fantastic.
Yeah, I have no doubts that stumbling upon this has saved my life and it definitely changed my life and definitely saved my life. So when you first started low carb, were you coming from a standard American diet? Had you tried to change your diet at all before? Or?
I did. So right before going low carb, I had reduced my calories significantly.
Mm-hmm.
But I was still, again, I thought I was eating healthy. Like in the morning, I'd have oatmeal, I'd have some fruit, juice, and it was still, albeit natural sugars for the most part, it was still sugars. So I started to lose a
Mm-hmm.
little weight just by restricting so many calories, which I don't recommend. But the health issues weren't getting any better. Um, Prior to that, trying to lose weight, I ate like everybody else, right? I had my, sandwiches, uh, pizza once a week, occasional beers here and there, uh, chips. I was a chipaholic. Oh my goodness. I
Mm-hmm.
long story short, yeah, standard American diet. I ate like millions of other Americans. It just my body couldn't tolerate it.
Mm-hmm. Did you have any issues adapting to low carb or to carnivore when you switched over to that?
I did not. And I've read about people who get the keto flu and things like that. Honestly, I experienced none of that. The only experiences I had were all positive. Increased in energy, the brain
Mm-hmm.
fog going away, neuropathy going away, the A1Cs lowering, triglycerides lowering. It's just, I guess the only negative effect wasn't me. It was, my old doctor constantly complaining about my diet, even though it improved everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then all the friends and family members that just didn't get it, right? That
Right.
didn't understand why I was going to this lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah, because everybody knows, meat's gonna kill you. It's the worst thing you could possibly eat, right?
Yeah, it's, I don't even bother debating them anymore. It's, they can believe what they want. It's, when I was having a donuts, pizza, and beer, it was no issue. But, now I'm eating red meat, eggs, and bacon. It's the end of the world.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a lot to wrap my head around because how fast my health started to turn around by eating only meat, and it was like what that was it, that it was that simple all this time, because this has been a huge monkey on my back, like, oh god, I'm gonna die young, nothing's helping me. And here we go, the thing I thought was the worst possible thing you could eat, it ended up healing me up.
No doubt. It's amazing that everything we were taught growing up is just the opposite. It's
Yeah.
and you could see it with today's food. A lot of it being so processed and the different things that are pushed. You can see it in the health of other people.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, and I don't know if it's because I'm looking for it more or what, but like me and my husband, we were talking the other day and I brought it up to him. I was like, "Hey, have you noticed that you're the only guy at the grocery store who doesn't have man boobs?" And he's like, "What? What are you talking about?" And I was like, "Just next time you go to the grocery store, look around and see the state that everybody else is in and see everything that they're putting in their carts that you're not putting in your cart." And he came home and he was like, "Oh my God, you're right. Like I never, I maybe I wasn't looking, but this is what it is now." And we were both like, "Has it always been like this or what happened?"
Yeah, I'm with you. It's the same thing. I look around and it's just, I actually feel bad for people because I don't think they, again, they've been so taught to believe one thing that, they won't even listen to the idea that, what they're doing is not healthy until it's too late, until their health
Hmm.
suffers. And so yeah, the things we're eating today, the processed foods, our lifestyles of sitting all day, right? That's my job requires me to sit in front of a computer all day.
Mm,
I don't like that aspect of it, but people are comfortable with not training. Just you sit all day at work, you sit during the commute, come home, you sit to eat, and you sit and watch, TV and go to bed and do it again. And so people are eating worse food and they're not being active. And you can see it just in people's health. They're, people our age or
my age. I think I'm quite a bit older than you.
Hmm.
It's you see it's just like the norm now is to be overweight and sick, and that's sad.
Yeah.
But even going to someone much younger like yourself, we even seen that in younger folks. It's just becoming
Hmm.
acceptable.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's really scary because like I know like probably your generation, that's when these things are affecting them, but then my generation, there's a lot of my peers that are dealing with the same type of thing like I was, the obesity, the early heart disease, the pre-diabetes, all of these really serious things, and it's really scary because it's like, okay, well, if this generation has it now, then what's my kids' generation going to be like? Is this going to be them in their teens and their and even younger? Um, but I do have hope that goodness prevails. I mean, like uh, Sean Baker, MeatRx, other people are really trying to bring these things to light, and I hope the word gets out and people learn a little bit better way to manage their health.
It's funny you said Sean Baker. When I that was the first person that I found regarding the carnivore lifestyle, after I'd already been keto and low carb, and so he was instrumental in in some of my research information, and he still obviously leads the way in the carnivore community. He's a specimen.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So what all do you include in your diet now?
Okay, so in my diet, a lot of red meat. Um,
Yeah.
Steaks when I have them. Mostly ground beef right now, just because that's what I have more available. Um, some pork in terms of bacon and ground pork. Some pork roasts and chops from here and there. Uh, when deer season is upon us now here in Ohio, so when things go well there, I include venison in my diet. Occasionally lamb. I don't get much of it, but include that in there. Eggs. I've been eating a lot more eggs. Include a little bit of cheese. I can handle it. Some folks can't. Um, but it's natural cheese. I'm not going to buy the processed stuff. I try to get as clean as I can with that. And other than that, that's all I eat food wise. I'll drink coffee and water, and then
Hmm.
yeah, red meat, pork, a little bit of
Yeah.
cheese, and eggs. That's it.
Okay. How many times do you usually eat in a day? Are you doing 3 meals, 2 meals, 1 meal?
I adopted the listen to your body approach. Typically 2 meals a day. When I started the animal based, I started eating, listening to my body, eating when I was hungry, which has equated to twice a day. Mm-hmm. So I usually eat around this time of day, and then a meal again at supper, and that's it. That's when my body tells me I'm hungry. Sometimes it's once a day, but
Yeah.
most of the time it's twice.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I kind of settled into also, and that seems pretty common, like just fill up twice a day, and most people are good getting by on that. Let's see. What is your favorite food at the moment?
That's tough. And I only eat basically four things, but
Hmm.
ground beef. I would say
Okay.
I take that back. I would say ribeye is my favorite,
Yeah.
but that's I don't I don't have a freezer full of ribeyes at the moment.
Right, right,
So
right.
I guess anything red meat, I guess, but ground beef and ribeyes would tie for right there at number one.
Yeah. Yeah, red meat is king. I mean, before coming into this way of eating, I did favor chicken more, but now I'm like, oh, chicken. Like if I have too much chicken, I'm like, oh, I that's not so great. I definitely
Yeah,
red meat's where it's at.
yeah. I'll be
Um,
honest with you. I don't eat a lot of chicken. I just I it's not there's the nutritional value like you find in red meat just isn't there. It's just kind of
right.
bland for me. So on occasion,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not it chicken is cheap. So if you're trying to save money, if somebody's trying to save money, they could go for chicken. But I did a 1 week budget carnivore experiment because I wanted to see, okay, well, what's the absolute cheapest I could eat carnivore if I like had no money. And I was eating a lot of chicken. And by the end of the week, I was like, so like honestly, like I hate chicken. Chicken's like the worst thing in the world. And I was like, I don't want any more of that for like a good month. And I didn't. I just couldn't. Nope. Um, do you include any organs? Do you eat any organs?
I, I do, yes. So, I try to butcher, or have purchased a butchered cow, and one
Okay.
to two cows a year, a couple hogs a year, and of course the deer. So with that, I get the livers, I get the beef heart. Actually, beef tongue was pretty good. I haven't had brain yet, but yeah, liver, kidneys, heart, I do include. I Beef liver still it's hard for me to get used to that taste. So
Mhm.
I'll mix it with some ground beef or ground pork. But yeah, I do incorporate some organ meat into my diet.
Okay. Um, so you mentioned that hunting season has started in Ohio. Have you been able to make a kill yet?
Not this year yet. It just
Okay.
opened this past weekend for bow season. My schedule has not allowed me, but I am itching to get out there. Um, I hunt, and my two youngest sons hunt as well. And I'm not ashamed to admit it. My younger two sons are much better hunters than I am. And
Oh,
last year between the two of them, they put 3 deer in the freezer for us last year for the
oh,
household. So
wow.
they are quite
Oh,
good.
yeah, good job, boys. Wow. So do you all bow hunt or uh rifle? What do you use?
Both. So this time of year right now is bow hunting season here.
Yeah.
Rifle season doesn't start until the Monday after Thanksgiving in Ohio.
Okay.
So that's a week long. I have vacation that week to try to make the most out of those days. And then bow will continue through beginning of February. And then there's a week in there of muzzle loader as well. So we hunt all of them.
Okay. Awesome. Well, my New Year's resolution for 2022 was that I was going to kill a deer. And you know what? It hasn't happened yet. I got a few more months. But what could you give me any advice as a first time huntress?
Patience. So
Okay.
I guess, are you hunting bow or rifle?
Yeah, yeah. So I'll be using a crossbow.
Okay, nice. Okay. So I guess patience and planning. So what I found, if you have so we don't own property ourselves. So it's, but I don't like public land hunting, at least here in Ohio. It's just
Hmm.
too crazy. So we do have a
Okay.
relative that has a farm. We hunt there, a neighboring farm, a couple places like that. So the key for us is to get out there early, before the actual season starts when possible. Put up some trail cameras so we can get an idea of what's coming through there. Look for signs of deer, whether it be some scrapes on the trees or rubs, things like that. Look for signs, and then patience. Get out there, obviously, long before the sun comes up, and hopefully, when the sun's coming up, that you're in a right position. And then, sometimes middle of the day isn't going to be very active, so sometimes we'll split it up, do a morning and a late in the afternoon / evening hunt. Sometimes I'll sit out there all day, but patience. It's just, I can't tell you
Hmm.
countless days sitting out there not even seeing anything. So try to do
Okay.
your homework, planning and prep work, and then just patience.
All right. Well, I've got patience. Maybe I'll do all right. I'll have to let you know. I'll make a point to
Yeah,
let you know
I
if
can't.
I get one.
Yeah, please do.
All right. So you mentioned that you were able to get the diabetes under control and all of those other laundry list of health concerns you had. Were there any unexpected benefits that you gained from changing the way you eat?
Uh, Body composition. That has been noticeably different. It's more, and I've had decades of abuse of my own body, but I compare what I look like now to what I did in my mid-20s, which I didn't think would ever happen. My workouts have been, I've been able to get that intensity back. I was lacking for a little while. I still do, hour 15, and that's about tops for me. But the quality of workout is great. Recovery is better. And again, the laundry list of health issues I just don't experience anymore, and those are huge. Like I said, I don't know if I mentioned earlier, but sleep apnea was just an ugly diagnosis. I plan on making a video of me actually smashing my old sleep apnea machine, because I hated that thing with a passion. The diabetes, the neuropathy, the brain fog, there's literally a laundry list of things that I didn't know if this lifestyle would fix, but it did. And probably the other thing I'm thinking of, we recently became grandparents, so having the opportunity to be around for my granddaughter, and to be able to play with her and do things like that, which I don't think, so without this lifestyle, I probably wouldn't have even met her, let alone have the opportunity to interact with her.
Yeah, that means a lot. Yeah. Have you ever seen Office Space?
I have.
Okay. You know that scene when they're smashing the printer, they take it out to the field. Okay. When you said making a video of you destroying the CPAP machine, that's what popped into my head. So I would love to see that. I will.
It's on my to-do list, my to-do video making list.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, I have one more question to ask you, Eric.
Okay.
What advice would you give to someone just starting out, or that was in your position December 2017? What would you tell them?
I would tell them, first, don't overthink it, and don't put yourself in a silo or a box. So in this community, I love this community, by the way. It is awesome. It is filled with great people. But there's also some in this community that will say, well, you're not true carnivore because you drink coffee, or you're not keto because of this, or you're not no carb because you have eggs, and eggs have 0.3 carbs in them. Just
right.
Don't pay attention to those people, right? Figure out what works for you. You have to start experimenting, start eliminating foods from your diet, and listen to your body. And that's it. We overcomplicate health and weight loss in this country so much. I don't have a magic app. I don't have a program. I don't count macros. I literally just try to eat the most natural animal-based foods and listen to my body. And that would be my advice. Don't overcomplicate it. Keep it simple. Don't listen to negative people, and interact with positive people like yourself in this community.
All right. That's a great piece of advice. Yeah. This has been an absolutely fantastic interview. Thank you again for taking some time out your day to meet with me.
Alyssa, I can't thank you enough. Again, I've always wanted to do one of these, and you reached out and asked if I'd be interested. The answer is heck yes. And again, I subscribe to your YouTube. I've watched your other interviews. You do a great job. And I thank you for giving me the opportunity to share my story, and I appreciate it.
That's it for today. Until next time, stay meaty, stay strong, and stay inspired. Do you have a carnivore story to tell? Connect with me on Instagram at meat, MEAT, Mrs. MRS Grubs, GRUBS. I would love to interview you, and the world needs to hear your story and how meat heals. Thanks so much for watching and all your support. Bye-bye till next time.